Okay, I just wanted to go through the equipment that you will need to sharpen your speed skates. First of all, you'll need a jig. I've got a front and a back and a stabilising bar. Then you'll need a large sharpening stone. I normally use a phos stone, which has a hard side and a soft side. The hard side is for sharpening, the soft side is for polishing. Then we go down to a smaller version of the hard side. It's a smaller slipstone. Then I have a fine slipstone, and then I have a tungsten. You'll find out in time of using different ones which ones you prefer to use. I've got some 3-in-1 oil. I have some gloves that I use for taking the burrs off for safety, and I have a cloth to wipe the oil off. Okay, I'm going to put the jig together now. This is the front of the jig. The front of the jig has a plate at the front, and we're going to butt both blades up to the front so we know they're both level. I'm going to put the retaining bar into the middle. I'm going to have that roughly flush at the front, and I'm going to do the retaining bolt underneath to secure that. And I'm going to put the back of the jig on, slide it in exactly the same as I did earlier, but I'm not going to do this one up at the minute because I may need to adjust it for the length of blade that's going in here. If you've got your own jig and you're only sharpening your own skates, there is another bar that goes all the way to the front to the back of here, which you can secure down with the screws that's supplied. So you don't have to actually keep setting this up, it'll be permanently in place. I'm going to undo all 4 of these. You don't have to take them fully off, it's just enough to get your blades and your tubes in here, in the front and in the back. I'm putting my own skates in here. So in the right hand side, my left boot will go in. So I'm going to butt my blade right up to the front, and then I'm going to come around to the back and just adjust and push the jig in. Okay, so I can clamp at the front and at the back. Now I'm going to do up the retaining screw underneath. So we have to make sure that we have them parallel to each other and we have them level. So we're butt up to the front, and I'm going to lift underneath at the front and at the back of the blade, and I'm lifting with my hand that's resting in the middle of the jig. So I'll do that again. So I'm just going to butt up to the front, and I'm going to lift up. I'm going to do this side up, just gently. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other one. So this is the left side, and this is my right boot. So I'm slotting in through the back and slotting in through the front. Butting up to the front plate, making sure both of the blades are parallel at the front, lifting in the middle up against these 2 parts of the jig. Okay, we do need to check that the blades are now level before we sharpen. We do this by using the large stone on the smooth side. And I'm just going to make 3 marks. I'm going to go very gently across the blade at the back, 1 in the middle and 1 at the front. I'm not going to press hard, I'm just going to use the weight of the stone. Across, across and across. So what I'm looking for are 3 marks to make sure that I have my blades level in my jig before I sharpen. So I'm looking for the 3 marks that I made. There's 1 here, and it's going from this side of the blade to this side of the blade. And I'm checking that that's happening all the way down. So there's another mark here. It's going from this side of the blade to this side of the blade. And then the same on the front. This side of the blade to this side of the blade. If you don't get that on both blades, don't start to sharpen, because you're not going to sharpen your skates level, and you're going to be going for hours and hours and hours, and it won't be right. Now I have these 3 lines, and I'm just going to check this other side. Okay, so I'm checking from the scrape mark is going from one side of the edge to the other, and I have that in 6 places. 1 at the back, one at the middle, one at the front, and I have it on both blades. Now I'm going to just tighten up these retainings just a little bit more. Now I know that everything is secure and I'm ready to sharpen. Okay, so we've set the jig up, we've set the skates up in the jig so that they are now level, everything's all tightened up and we're ready to sharpen. So we're going to use the hard side of the sharpening stone first of all to sharpen the blades and get a small burr. I'm going to put some 3-in-1 on the top of there, and now I'm going to start sharpening. I'm not going to press hard on the stone, I'm just going to allow the weight of the stone pushing it forwards and backwards to sharpen my skates. It won't take too long to refresh the blade. And as you can see, I'm changing the angle of my stone, although I'm going from the back of the blade to the front of the blade in a straight line. And this is to make the stone last longer and not to get a groove in it. It won't take very long at all to create a burr. Okay, so I haven't been going for very long. I'm going to wipe the blades just so it's not so mucky. And I'm looking for a burr. When we sharpen the blades, it pushes a piece of metal on both sides. And I'm looking for that tiny little lip all the way down every edge. Okay, I'm looking for those on the inside as well. It's another indication that your blades are level when you can find a burr on the inside and the outside of every edge. So I'm quite happy with that. Now I need to take off those small tiny burrs. I'm going to turn jig on its side and put my glove on. We went through the slip stones from earlier. I've got a normal slip stone. It's a smaller version of the sharpening stone. I've got the diamond one, and then there's the tungsten. It's a personal choice of which one you use. We'll go through all three. Just by rubbing the blade, keeping it flat against the blade, I'm going to be taking the burr off. What you want to make sure is you don't slip off and round your edge off, and then you'll have to start again and sharpen your skates from scratch. It shouldn't take too long to take the burr because you've only allowed a small one to form while sharpening. So it's now disappeared. I'm just going to make sure I get it all the way to the end. It's also the diamond slipstone. We use it exactly the same, and it does exactly the same job. All the way to the ends. Oh, there's the third version, which is the tungsten. And this is more of a press down rather than with the other two, all the way to the end. We're just going to check to make sure we got rid of all the burrs. Small piece of that, isn't it? I'm just turn it over. And there we go. You could use the diamond one. I'm using all three just so that you can see the different ways that you'll hold them and use them. Make sure you go from one end to the other. And even with this one, make sure you don't slip off the blade because you will have to start again. and then the tungsten once more. You don't have to use all three of these, just whichever one you prefer. But that's how you use all three. Just make sure we get that burr off. And the last edge. So when we used the big sharpening stone, it put a burr on every edge. That's all four edges, the insides and the outsides. We didn't sharpen for very long before we had a burr, and now we're just removing them. Okay. Now they've all been removed, we'll go to the smooth side. We're going to go to the smooth side of the stone, and this is to just put a polish. So if there's any scratches on the top of your stone from the sharpening, we're going to smooth those out. Small bit of oil, start at the back of the blade, all the way to the front. This one sounds much quieter because it's a smoother side, and we're just putting a polish onto the blade. This will create another burr, and we will need to remove it. There again, I'm not pressing very hard, I'm just allowing the stone to sharpen my blades. That's the only pressure you need. You don't need to be going for too long, you just need to be going long enough until you get another burr. Let me feel. Okay, I can't feel enough, so I'm just going to go a little bit longer. It's best not to press really hard and get a big burr. Press really gently until you get a burr on the insides and the outsides of your blades. There again, and back to front in a straight line. You can change the angle of your stone to minimise a groove. Not for very long, and we should have a burr now. Okay, so I'm happy we have burrs on all of our edges, and then again we're going to remove them with the slipstone. This is just a refresh, and your sharpening should take about 10, maybe 15 minutes, depending on how many times you have to take the burrs off if you haven't completely taken them off. If it's a brand new blade that's never been sharpened before, then it could take 40 minutes to an hour to prepare it for skating. There again, at any point, if you were to slip off with your slipstone, it's best to start again from scratch because you've just damaged the edge of your blade and you need a crisp 90-degree angle on your blades. So your skates are ready to skate on. We have sharp blades on the insides and the outsides, and we'll just undo the 4 panels here and we'll remove them and you can go and skate.